Now, after 1 year of owning the Gerber Dime, I found that it has its pros and cons just like any other tool. And if you were thinking about getting this multi-tool, well then I hope this video may be of some use to you to help you decide whether it's worth getting or not. Now, the Gerber Dime does come with 12 tools, and they have all been useful in my opinion. It is a well-built multi-tool with many uses. Now let's first begin with all the pros of each tool. And by the way, I do have more pros than cons for the Gerber Dime. So after 1 year of usage, here are all the pros and how it's held up. The spring-loaded needle nose pliers held up better than expected. The spring action works just as good as it did the first time I used it. I'm surprised that they function just as well as they did brand new. Now, I will say that these are not meant for heavy duty work. These aren't made to try and break free some rusty bolts or anything of that sort. Some of the main uses I gave the pliers was to lift, for example, hot objects, like a grill, which I was trying to move, by grabbing it by the handle with the pliers to avoid getting burned. Or another example was grabbing something that was dirty because I didn't want to get my hands dirty. Now, I also used the pliers to grab some small screws because sometimes they're just too small for my fat fingers. So the pliers definitely come in handy for small jobs like that. Now, the same goes with the wire cutters. Now, they work fine for certain things. Cutting wires, they do struggle a little bit, but they still get the job done. Now, I didn't use them that often to cut wires, but they do sometimes come in handy. For example, if you're trying to cut small twigs, small branches off of your trees or something like that. You know, sometimes it helps with that. Now, I tried cutting some zip ties with it. They were just not that good for zip ties. But they do work okay for some wires, certain wires, and obviously for small twigs. So they are useful for more than just one thing. Now, you can't really see much wear and tear out of them, but that's because, like I said, I mainly use them for minor things, not anything heavy duty. Because obviously if you try to go for heavy jobs, then you may break them. Now, the blade was mainly used for opening packages, cutting zip ties as well, it does a good job for that, and many other small tasks. Now, I'll be honest, I haven't sharpened this since I purchased it 1 year ago. It has gone slightly dull, but it still works fine, especially to open small packages. There isn't much wear and tear on the blade either, so it's been holding up just fine. Now, this next tool is one of my favorite ones actually, and that is the retail package opener, which has been very useful. Obviously, the name says what is its intended purpose, to open packages, right? The blade has held up well and works perfectly fine to open packages. And the best part about it is that it limits how deep the blade goes, unlike the knife or the blade, whatever you want to call it, where you can potentially go in too deep and damage the goods inside the package. Obviously, the package opener has a limit since it's a small blade. So I do recommend using the retail package opener over the blade for opening packages. It's just slightly safer. Now, it's held up pretty good as well. I haven't sharpened it either since I bought it. But then again, I mean, how much damage can you actually do to it opening retail packages, right? So yes, it's worked perfectly fine up to this date. Next up, we got the scissors. Now, the scissors have probably been the tool that I've used the most on the Dime, mainly to cut small pieces of paper, even to cut through some zip ties, and to open some packages. So many uses for the scissors. And to be honest, they're holding up pretty good. I really do enjoy using these scissors a lot, especially when I go outside to cut up some rags out of old t-shirts, because I normally use old rags to put on some armor on my tires or to put armor on my dashboard. But the rags are made out of old t-shirts. Rags are always useful, and being able to cut them on the spot with this multi-tool makes me save time from having to go look for some scissors. So it's super convenient to carry with me at all times. Now, the small and medium flathead screwdrivers both also get you out of a bind. I've used these multiple times. The small flathead even removes small Phillips head screws. So I've used it many times to replace batteries for my kids' remote controls and even to tighten some wall outlet plates. So when you don't want to head over to your toolbox, these flatheads can come in handy for small jobs. Now, the bottle opener has also been extremely useful. The best part of it has been its easy accessibility, since this is obviously located in the exterior of the tool. And it works for those Coke bottles and carbonated water bottles just fine. I thought it would have maybe have broken off because it looks kind of flimsy, but no, it works perfectly fine and it's held up. Now, you also get a coarse file and fine file, which work fine as well. I mean, the only problem with it is that they're kind of small, so it's hard to find good use for it, for something that small. But I'll be honest, I mainly use it just to file my nails, and it works just fine. So no complaints about them at all. Now, you also get a lanyard ring. Now, I do have the Dime hanging from my keys, and it hasn't fallen. The lanyard ring is strong enough that it hasn't bent or broken either, so it's been hanging on just fine. You could always switch it out and put another lanyard ring to it, but so far the original has been holding up. And finally, you have the tweezers, which have also held up just fine. They come in handy for small strands of string or for your eyebrows. They work great and they get the job done. No complaints about the tweezers either. So overall, the pros have been far more in my opinion. Now let's look at some of the cons, because there are just a few. The first con would be the most noticeable, and that is that the black paint has worn off. All the edges that come in contact with your keys or jeans or anything else that rubs the edges of the dime does cause the paint to fall off. But it doesn't affect its performance. It's mainly just an aesthetic thing. Second con would be that even though it's performed just as good as it has when it was new, it is also true that it hasn't broken loose a little either. And what I mean by that is that it's still kind of hard, stiff to pull out some of the tools, like the knife or the flatheads. You still need to put plenty of force to be able to swing open some of the tools. I would have thought that by now it would have loosened up just a little, but it's not the case. I may try loosening the screws a little, or maybe lubricating it again to see if that helps too. But then again, this may not even be a con for some of you. And those are the only cons I have for this multi-tool. It's worked perfectly fine for its intended purpose. I've enjoyed using it. It's gotten me out of a bind many times. It's conveniently located on my keys where I can easily access these useful tools. I personally give this 4.5 stars out of 5. So overall, the pros have been overwhelmingly superior to the minor cons. I have not been disappointed in using any of these tools on the dime. And for the price, which usually ranges between 24 to 30 US dollars, it has met all my expectations and it continues to hold up. But then again, it's all been light duty use. These are not meant for heavy duty use. Otherwise they will break. Now I may trade it out this coming year for something else. So if you have any recommendations, let me know in the comment section. Also let me know in the comment section if you have the Gerber dime. And if you do, have you found it useful or has it been a disappointment to you? That is all I have for y'all today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. I thank you for your time, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.